Convocation Center for today's press conference today. I'm Greg Steiner. I'm the Assistant Director of Athletic Media Relations here at Eastern Michigan, and we're happy to have everyone here today on short notice. A few quick housekeeping measures before we continue on with today's press conference. If you have your cell phone on, please make sure the ringer is off to avoid any unexpected interruptions. Secondly, for any media that are here in attendance today, once the press conference concludes, we will have one-on-one interviews with Coach, EMU Director of Athletics, Dr. Derrick Gragg, and of course, EMU President, Dr. Susan W. Martin. Without further delay, I want to turn things over to our Director of Athletics, Dr. Derrick Gragg, to talk about the intensive search for this coaching process and to do a few special introductions. Dr. Gragg.
Thanks, Greg. And I'm here to welcome everybody on behalf of the Department of Athletics. And it was a great search process. I definitely want to thank some people. But before I do that, I want to acknowledge the great work that these student athletes and coaches have done during my 6 years here as the athletic director. As many of you know, we've collectively, we've attained 21 MAC championships. We've had 27 head coaches of the year. And we also currently have the highest GPA cumulatively amongst our student athletes in the program's history. So I definitely want to thank all the student athletes and the coaches that are here today. Let's please give them a round of applause. And none of this will be possible without great leadership from the top. And obviously, we have a great board of regents that's very supportive. Today with us, and hold your applause until I announce all of them, we have our chairman of the board, Mr. Roy Wilbanks, is with us, who's been a longtime supporter of the department and athletics here. We also have Mr. Mike Hawks, who is the chairman of the Athletic Affairs Committee, currently in the back with us. I appreciate him. A couple of the other regents, Regent Beth Fitzsimmons, who I don't think missed one women's basketball game this year. She couldn't be here, but I know she sends her well wishes. And then also Regent Jim Stapleton, who couldn't be here, who sends his congratulations. And the other regents who have been very supportive. So let's please give them a round of applause as well. I want to thank the advisory committee, and these things aren't easy to pull together at the last minute. Dr. Melody Rifle-Warner, who helped pull the committee together. Dr. Liz Broughton, who I saw, who is our faculty athletic rep, who's back here as well. The great former Cassie Schrock, student athlete, who was the captain here. Where is Cassie? Thank you. And I don't know if Mr. Earl Higgins is here, but he is also an EMU Hall of Famer, former big-time basketball player. I would like to thank him. And then the three most important committee members are our student athletes, India Hairston, Olivia Foudy, and Desiree Thomas. And I also want to recognize the entire women's basketball team who has together the last 2 or 3 years really done great things, set a lot of school records, and has made history here. So let's give them a round of applause as well. I also want to thank the Human Resources Department. These searches for coaches are a lot different than what you encounter in higher education a lot of times. What takes 6 months takes about 6 days with us. So I appreciate Zach Fairchild and also Gloria Haig, who's our University General Counsel, who worked on the negotiation of the contract and helped us get that done. I also want to thank Mr. Greg Steiner, who is our Assistant AD for Media Relations, for pulling this together. And last but not least, right now, I want to thank another very important person, and that's our president. And it's always important that you have great support, again, from the top. And Dr. Martin is a sports enthusiast. She's one of our great supporters, and I want to welcome her to the stage right now. Dr. Susan Martin, please.
I want to thank you all for coming, and I see many of our long-term supporters of women's basketball and our athletic programs here, so thank you for coming today. And I want to, again, congratulate the team on a great season. I know with the new leadership of your new coach, you're going to have a great year next year, so we're excited about that. As Derrick mentioned, both he and the Board of Regents, and particularly Mike Hawks as Chair of Athletic Affairs, and Roy Wilbanks have been staunch supporters of the program and insisting upon enhancements like you see out there in the stadium and improving our athletic programs across the 21 Division I sports. And we've seen increased success in cross country, track and field, wrestling this year. swimming and diving, strong legacies and traditions there, but more importantly, regaining the glory of men and women's basketball, both winning the West Division, which was exciting, and the women going on to the NCAA. And we're also looking forward to a great football season after 6-6 last year. So it's been an exciting time for the revival of a great tradition in success in athletics here. And the importance of academics remains foremost for us. They are students first and athletes second. And we have seen actually improvements in our APR, our graduation rates, and our success of our students in the classroom, and we're very proud of that. We are very proud of our compliance programs and how we work to protect our student athletes, and we're excited about Tory Verdi coming to Eastern. I would like to note one important person in the audience, not only his wife, who I'm sure he'll recognize, Heather, but his mother, Beverly Verdi, is with us today from Connecticut. So I'd like to give her a round of applause. So I'm sure many of you have heard about his credentials, but he started in the women's NBA, went to Columbia, Nebraska, then Kansas with a team that went to the Sweet 16 next year. I know that he'll continue the tradition and success of Eastern, and he brings a record of success, so we are excited about Tory joining our team and look forward to a great season and future seasons under his leadership of this wonderful women's basketball team. So thank you for coming today.
And now for the man of the hour. And people always ask me about hiring head coaches, and I've had the opportunity to do that 10 times since I've been here. And I always talk about the 4 Ps of hiring a head coach, and you've heard me say this before. The first P is profile, and that's basically, what are we looking for? What do we want? We always want someone that has great integrity, a lot of great experience, and Tory is one of those people. He has 16 years of coaching experience, many on the top level of college basketball. The second one is pedigree. What is this person's background? Where have they been? And he's one of the most well-rounded coaches that I've come in contact with. He's coached men's and women's college basketball, has had a lot of great success in the WNBA, and currently with a couple of the Big 12 powerhouses, and he's done great work with them. The third P is performance. What has this person done? What helps them stand out from everybody else? And his track record for success basically speaks for itself. Has been with 2, as I mentioned, and Dr. Martin mentioned, with Nebraska and with Kansas, has been to the Sweet 16 in recent years, and that's exactly where we want our program to go. We've got a taste of it this year, and I commend our team for what they've done, but I think there's another level that we can get to ourselves. And then the last P is preparation. That's most critical. Is this guy ready for this job? And I'm telling you, anybody who was with the committee, who got a chance to see him, they know that he's prepared. He not only was prepared in the interview process, he is prepared for this opportunity. And so without further ado, I want to welcome, and please help me with a round of applause, introduce our new women's head basketball coach, Mr. Tory Verdi.
Wow, this is truly amazing. Thank you all for being here today. This is a dream come true. But I'd like to just give me a minute here. I got a lot of people to thank. I'd like to start off by thanking President Martin, Dr. Derrick Gragg, Dr. Melanie Warner, the search committee, and lastly, the Board of Regents for making a great decision. You know, this is truly an honor to stand before you as the next head women's basketball coach here at Eastern Michigan. I'd also like to thank the 2 most important women in my life that are here with me today. And please stand up and be recognized. My wife, Heather, couldn't have done this without you. And my mother, Beverly, my biggest fan. Now, I said I want to get emotional, but I'm Italian, so just bear with me here. Thank you for everything. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Bonnie Henriksen, the head women's basketball coach at the University of Kansas, Connie Yori, the head women's basketball coach at the University of Nebraska, and lastly, Mike Tebow, the head women's basketball coach of the Connecticut Sun of the WNBA. You know, last week when I first stepped on campus, it just felt right. And after meeting with President Martin, Dr. Gragg, and the search committee, I knew that this was the place for me. We shared our visions, our goals, and everybody was on board. The support here is overwhelming. This was a no-brainer. I was sold. 7 years ago, I left the East Coast for a job at the University of Nebraska. My father told me that I was absolutely crazy. 5 years later, we made postseason play every single year while making 3 runs in the NCAA tournament. However, the last year was a little different. We ended up running through the regular season, finishing undefeated at 30-0 and a #1 seed in the NCAA tournament. We were ranked 3rd in the country, the highest ranking ever in the history of the program. Later, once the season ended, my father said, I knew that was going to be a great job. Shortly after I left the University of Nebraska and headed south to the University of Kansas, I joined a program that missed the NCAA tournament 12 straight years. Again, my father approached me and said I was absolutely crazy. You just won a Big 12 championship, the best season ever in the history of the program, and you're going to leave and take a job at Kansas? Now, there was a little bit more to that conversation, but I'm going to end that there. 2 years later, the University of Kansas gets an at-large bid and upsets 17th-ranked Nebraska in the first round of the NCAA tournament, and then 7th-ranked Delaware to make it into the Sweet 16. Later, we would fall to the University of Tennessee. Once that game concluded, again, I got a phone call from my father, and he said, I knew that was going to be a great job. And so, this brings us here today. However, no phone calls this time, no thoughts of me being crazy. For once, we are in agreement. Eastern Michigan is a great job and the best place for me. I'm very excited to be here. I'm looking forward to meeting and working with all of you. I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and get to work. Thank you.
That concludes today's press conference. All media are welcome to come upstairs for the one-on-one interviews and any photo opportunities that you might have. Additionally, if you just want to hang around and meet Coach or Dr. Gragg, give them your congratulations. We appreciate that. But thank you, everybody, for coming out, and we hope to see you soon enough. November will be here before you know it. Thanks again.